What happens when the head of ICE admits authoritarian regimes demanded proof of citizenship and then refuses to take responsibility? Dan Goldman just exposed something chilling, and you need to see this.
As a gentleman from New York, Mr. Goldman, 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lyons, what guidance have you given to your agents about asking people walking on the streets of America to show proof of citizenship?
Sir, as I stated earlier, the men and women of ICE, deportation officers, special agents, we conduct targeted intelligence-driven operation. We don't walk around the streets asking people about their American citizenship.
Really? So all of those individual American citizens who have been randomly asked are lying. Is that what you're saying?
Sir, if the men and women of ICE are conducting an investigation, whether it be for Title 8 immigration enforcement or Title 18 criminal enforcement, they'll ask someone their nationality.
Right, but that's not targeted because they're asking all sorts of American citizens, including off-duty law enforcement. Now, have you directed at any point your agents under the Supreme Court's racial profiling ruling to only stop non-white people and those who look like immigrants to ask for their citizenship papers?
No, sir, I haven't.
Now, you are aware, of course, and there's numerous well-documented instances of people, American citizens, being asked to show and prove their citizenship. Do you know what other regimes in the 20th century required similar proof of citizenship?
Yes, sir.
What?
Sir, there was various nefarious regimes that did that.
Is Nazi Germany one?
Yes, but
Is the Soviet Union one?
I honestly...
Sir, I'm asking the questions. Is the Soviet Union one?
Yes, sir, but I totally, this is the wrong type of question that you
No, I'll tell you what the wrong type of thing is, sir. It's my
Holocaust
time.
Museum.
Reclaiming my time, sir.
If you want to go
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
It's not the men and women of ICE that are out there doing it every day. So to say that the men and women of ICE that can
Mr.
stop
Chairman,
us,
I'm reclaiming my time. I would like my time back, please. Please give me another 15 seconds because he was unnecessarily speaking. You said in your opening statement that references to ICE as the Gestapo or the secret police encourages threats against ICE agents.
100%.
The problem is you have it backwards, sir. People are simply making valid observations about your tactics, which are un-American and outright fascist. So I have a simple suggestion. If you don't want to be called a fascist regime or secret police, then stop acting like one. But people are simply just observing what they are seeing. And that's why people are making those comments. Now, I was a prosecutor for 10 years, prosecuted mob bosses, organized crime, violent criminals, the actual worst of the worst. Not a single criminal law enforcement agent that I worked with wore a mask to conceal their identity. But your department, which is a civil law enforcement agency, is defending the use of masks by your agents because of a so-called rise in threats and assaults against your officer. Now, you said in your opening testimony that assaults against ICE officers are up by more than 1,400%, which is now even more than the 1,300% that your gaslighting spokesperson, Tricia from Ohio, has recently been citing. But here's the problem. There are two separate, very detailed, very thorough investigative reports based on your own data that both conclude that assaults against ICE officers are up about 25%, which is far less, of course, than you assert, and far less than you would expect from an agency that has more than doubled its hiring and has an even greater increase in arrests. Now, why is that a problem, Mr. Lyons? It's a problem because the explanation that your agents are wearing masks because of fear of assaults or doxing is outright bogus. You and your untrained, unqualified, unvetted, unidentified agents are intentionally terrorizing our cities and communities all over this country to avoid accountability for their excessive force and their lawless actions. That is why you're wearing masks. So no one can hold you accountable, and you know that the FBI is not going to, because notwithstanding all of the investigations all of you say are going on, the Department of Justice and the FBI has stated they are not investigating those two murders. This is not the America that I know and love. This is not the America my immigrants came to. And it's long past time that you rein in your out-of-control agency and start following the law and the Constitution, and I yield back.
Gentlemen.
This wasn't just another heated hearing. This was a defining moment. When Congressman Dan Goldman confronted acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, the exchange cut straight to the heart of what millions of Americans are feeling right now: fear, anger, and disbelief at how far this administration is willing to push executive power. Goldman asked a simple question: are your agents stopping people on American streets and demanding proof of citizenship? Lyons insisted ICE conducts targeted operations. But documented cases show American citizens, including off-duty law enforcement, being questioned about their nationality. That's not targeted, that's profiling. Then Goldman did something powerful. He forced Lyons to acknowledge that regimes like Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union required people to prove their citizenship. Lyons said yes. Think about that. The acting head of ICE agreed that some of history's most oppressive governments used citizenship checks as tools of control, and yet his agency is now facing widespread reports of doing exactly that. Goldman didn't mince words. If you don't want to be called secret police, stop acting like secret police. Masked agents, unmarked vehicles, inflated statistics about officer assaults, civil enforcement behaving like a paramilitary operation. That's not normal in a constitutional democracy. And when Lyons claimed assaults on ICE agents are up 1,400%, Goldman dismantled it with ICE's own data showing a roughly 25% increase. Serious, but nowhere near the fear-driven narrative being pushed to justify anonymity and lack of accountability. This is the difference between propaganda and oversight. Goldman, a former federal prosecutor who took down organized crime, made it clear: real law enforcement doesn't need masks to do its job. Accountability is the backbone of public trust. When agents hide their identities, it's not about safety, it's about shielding misconduct. This is bigger than one hearing. It's about whether we normalize authoritarian tactics in the name of efficiency. It's about whether American citizens should ever have to prove they belong in their own country because of how they look or sound.